Hi everyone. Hey, sorry I forgot to hit record. We're painting this model Val. Now you can actually sort of see her face. Dark brown, whole red, elvish blue, hot orange, some kind of pinky skin tone, sunny skin tone. We're creating a medium dark shadow color here to just get some base coats down on her skin. Normally I would zenithal, I was lazy. You don't actually have to zenithal, by the way. All right, let's get some good finish there on her face. Make sure that goes all the way back. It's important when you're doing the base coats to get some nice coverage. If it's patchy, right? If you miss some areas, that's going to show up through later areas as you work thinner. So just try and get a pretty good base layer down while you go. Okay, so that's, I get paint on my fingers. That's sort of the starting point here, okay? I want this to dry. There'll be even darker colors down in here, but this is the like shadow value we're going for, okay? It looks quite reddish now. It's not going to look so reddish once we start adding other colors, all right? Now, we need to take and mix a brighter skin tone. Okay, we don't want it too saturated here. Like this is very orange. I'm going to take a little bit of the whole red. Okay, that was too much whole red. There we go, that feels all right. Now we'll go lighter than this, but let's just sketch in the light areas. Now, when I do white, you can use ink, you can use, normally I'll just use like Vallejo gray or something. IMO's Vallejo gray primer is very white, super light gray. Okay, so getting the light on her nose here, and then basically on the side of her face. Her hair is going to block some of the light on her cheek as it goes back, but we want to make sure we get down this direction. Okay, so basically this half of her face, other than her forehead, is going to be in light. Right, so I'm covering this in the general light value. It's a 5. Size 5. All right. Something like that is basically how the light is going to play on her face. Okay. Then we need to get some on her shoulder. And then it goes back onto her arm like this. And then some of it will hit on her neck back there, but not very much. Okay, something like that. So, all right, so not as much light as you might think, okay? What's gonna be important is how we add some, see, like these specular lights. We'll introduce like a cooler blue specular light to her forehead to give some shape to the other side of her face. Controlling the values there is going to be really important as we have a little thing there I need to get rid of. Controlling the values there is going to be really important. Get this little doodad off. Get out of here. All right. Okay. Right, so that is the most simple shape of the light for her face. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of this brown, which is like this deep brown purpley color. I'm going to mix it with some of the blue. Maybe just a bit of the sunny skin tone. There we go. To get like a darker gray here. I'm just gonna get some color down on the fur. I think I'm gonna go with like a kind of icy color for her eyes. And like a really platinum blonde for her hair. So I guess think Elsa from Frozen, maybe. Elsa or what's her name from X-Men? Emma Frost. That kind of look, you know. Viking Ice Queen lady. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just get some value down on her hair. This is, I'm using gray here because we're going with like a platinum, so it doesn't matter that much in the moment. Yeah, you could also think of, instead of, I guess Siri would be like another. Like Siri has that super light blonde hair in the games, like it's basically silver. That's sort of the look we're going for. You could do like a Yennefer look too, I guess, though. Hey, make it yours, you know? All right, so I don't want to do too much more of her hair because this is all going to be, I guess I could get some in here, but it's probably going to get messed up when I go to paint the face, so it doesn't matter that much. But but it'll give you some idea. Okay, something like that. Now, let's start to blend these two a little bit. We'll start to bridge these together. There isn't much bridging to do because we don't have, this is going to be a pretty sharp transition here. So we're just creating some kind of mid-tone in between, because most, like the nose is going to have a pretty harsh transition. The lip's going to have a pretty harsh transition. Probably the smoothest transition that we'll have on the figure will be the shoulder. This is like the most round part. All right. Now we can push the light a bit more on her. Yeah, a little bit of black cat also, you know. This is, I guess it's a stereotype. This trope. Okay, a little bit on her chin. So you can see just that bit of mid-tone there in the cheekbone. Creates some shape to the cheekbone there. It might be too much right now, honestly. Like I want it to be quite subtle. I don't want to like overdo the cheekbones. So I might tone it down because I have to still push the light more, like significantly more than this actually. I'm not even going to worry about the nasal fold right now. I do need to give her a little bit of a grin, but that's small stuff for later. All right, Jared. Okay, so that gives you, yeah, it's too much. It's already bothering me. But this is why we sketch or block in. I want it just enough to give some shape to the cheekbone there. Okay. So something like that. And then let's push the light even more. Creating some highlights. We're just placing them right now. Okay, you can see the paint like being a little glossy, give us an idea sort of where they go. So we want one here. We're going to want one here where the nose starts to curve around that matches this sort of plane. On her lip. And we're going to get some in the corner of her mouth. Now we can push this further and blend this out. But for right now, it's just sort of like, I'm just marking placement, okay? With that sort of lip curving upwards as it goes. Give her a little smirk, you know. Some highlight on her shoulder. Okay. Now, this is going to be the weird part for you guys. All right. So you could see the shine to the paint, right? So this is like, I have this very large light overhead. And because this is all in shadow, that doesn't mean, just because something's in shadow, doesn't mean it won't have specular reflections on it, okay? So what we have to do here is start to add, so this is sunlight, but her face would still reflect the sky, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this blue, and we're not going to cross over into these areas. We're just going to take some blue and mix it with some of the red and some of the pink to get this like cool sort of blue-gray color. It's a little bit higher in value than the skin tone that we painted, all right? So this is like a ultramarine sky blue. So the idea here, let's check the value, see if it's okay. Might be slightly too dark, but yeah, it's a little too dark. So we'll push a little bit more. So what we're aiming for here is to just create this cold grayish reflection of the sky on the shadow parts of her face, all right? So her forehead is going to get quite a bit of this sky reflection, all right? We'll get some in these areas here. And this is going to start to give shape. Now this might even be too light. This is where like I say that like it's really important that this value shift is super subtle. Right? It's not like an actual light source. Like you know, the sun, right? It's just her skin reflecting a bit of the sky. which is lighter than the rest of the surroundings. Okay. You see this much more on dark, like it's much more obvious on dark-skinned people. I can switch it to black and white so you can see the difference in value. Hold on. See, it's too much right now. It's too obvious of a change. It's getting a little too close to the some of the values in the light side, so I need to tone it back again, okay? So we're going to come back with some of the red, just a bit of the orange, find something in between. We're going to start to soften that in, okay? I really can't express enough how delicate of a change in value that this actually is. Yeah, we're going for like a, I don't know, cold morning light or something like that. What color is the downward facing shadows? It's just dark brown red. It's just that general dark reddish tone. Only the areas that face would reflect the sky get this sort of like bluish gray red, okay? All right. So, something like that. I actually have to do it on the other side too, in this area, because this is also going to be in shadow. So a specular highlight isn't necessarily the highest overall value, but a specular highlight is, right? So the highlight, this is the highlight, and I haven't even pushed all the way yet, but this is a highlight, right? This is a reflection of the sky. So it is also specular, but it is not the highlight tone. Okay, I don't know if the difference makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we're going for, it's basically like this. This is the light that we're aiming for. Okay, I need to do the what's it called too? The like warm side of her hair, which is going to be like this sort of straw kind of khaki color. Like this greenish gray going up to like a sort of yellow. You'll see. It'll start to make sense, I hope. Dude, you excited about some Gundam Assemble? Is that what we're talking about? So yeah, so there's the sort of light. So some of that needs to wrap back this way some more. So, right, so you can't see her forehead at all from this angle. So it's, the light is cutting across the bridge of her nose like that. I might actually have to adjust the shape here a little bit, bring that shadow down some. But you can see, like, when I line it lines up okay, right? So it's something along those lines. And then we'll push a highlight here. This will go so much lighter, but it's just getting a, because this is going to have to go all the way up to white in the final highlight, or like a bright ivory, but we're getting sort of that initial color down before we push it to the maximum highlight that's going to reflect off her hair right here. And maybe just a tiny touch right there. So let's take some of this mixed with, this will work for, where is my ivory? And we can use like a bone white for the moment. It depends. It depends on the kind of blonde you're going for. Platinum blonde is quite like bone straw sort of colored. With quite a lot of like desaturated grays, a more like warm blonde like mine, right, tends to be more brownish. You don't put water in your paint? No, I don't thin my paint on the palette. I thin my paint on the brush. So I load water into the brush and then I pick up the paint. So here, basically the highlight of her hair is going to go like this. It's not very green if you're dealing with if you're dealing with like a brown blonde, but we're going for that like I said, think Siri or Elsa or something like platinum, like basically like silver blonde. All right, and then I'd push it even more from there, but that's like basically the sort of highlight position, and I'll put another highlight in that and go even lighter, but I just wanted to get sort of a sketch down so you could see the general sort of light of it. Okay, now there are some areas that need to go darker. So we'll take some of this guy. I might actually use the let's use, where is it? Let's use some of the transparent. Some good stuff. She's going to have very dark, shadowy eyes and well, shadowy as in like eyeshadow, like heavy dark eyelashes and everything, and then she'll have a very bright like icy blue eyes. Okay, so we can mix some of that in. That's going to let us push some of these occlusion shadows even darker. We can build them up a little slowly. This is one nice thing about like using some transparent paints. If you were needing to make smaller adjustments, it's a little easier to go a little slower with a transparent pigment. Right, so we can push a little extra shadow back in here where the jawline and cheekbone starts to go up next to the hairline, right? We can create some additional shadows on her neck and like down here in her arm and stuff too while we do that, because all of these areas like around her collarbone and stuff need definition and shape, but the difference in value, right? The level of contrast in these areas is going to be much lower than this big, more dramatic light source. Hello. I like the transparent raw umber. It's a good tone. Okay, let's increase this zone of light on her face. We want to push that contrast a little bit more. We're going to kind of connect this down some. Right, when you're trying to do a very soft, expressions can be very difficult, okay? Like when we're talking about facial expressions, there's a lot of like real subtlety and nuance to facial expressions. I know I've talked about it on Feedback Friday and stuff, but we want to make subtle adjustments to gradually kind of build up that look that we're aiming for. Okay, we can take some of the orange if we need, a little thin down, create some of that bridging tone where the light gets a little more saturated in the transition in the Terminator. And we're going to need a red to paint her lips too, but for right now, just trying to create sort of a general shape. I find the figure a little squinty. So I'm going to sort of increase the size of the lower eyelid a little bit here. Give some more shape like around here. It's easy to push that light up so high next to the eye that you kind of, like it makes the, yeah, it kind of pushes it too high up, you know? Hello. All right. And we're going to adjust her smile and everything to get it just right. But for right now, I want to just create sort of the general, more general shape of her face, and then we'll deal with the micro expressions, right? Okay, so you can see that, yeah, so this shadow here needs to cut across her eye kind of like that, right? So I'm going to come back with the dark reddish tone. We're going to cut it across her cheek like that to get that cast shadow there of her hair going across her face. Boom, lines up. And then this maybe needs to cut in a little bit more. Something like that. Make sense? All right. And then let's, real quick, I don't know if I want this to be as yellow, but that's sort of the lighting we're going for. I'll grab even a little touch of orange to try and alter the color just a bit. But the fur is kind of going to be like to here, I guess. So something like that. Hi, Joaquin. Hola. I just decided to last night. I just thought, hey, you know what would be fun? I'm going to paint Val, because why not? ¿Por qué no? Okay. The light might come a little too far over on her chin, but I think that's generally about right for the light source. It's a challenging model looking. She's very subtle features. Thanks. I think it might have to come up a little bit in general. We'll see once I get more of the lights pushed to where I want on the main side, the main light, and then I'll reevaluate if I need to raise the general light of the shadow side, because I don't want it to be like overly contrasty. But through some thin layers, I think we can get there. Yeah, something kind of like that. Wow. Sandan Galacta. I mean, I like Galacta, but I don't know if he would be my first choice of model to paint. Like, oh, you want to paint this super ugly, like, guy missing teeth and is all jacked up? Like, maybe it would be interesting, but there are definitely characters that I would want to paint before him. I can answer that, Steve. Wendy, the concept artist for Epica Tales, is Joaquin's wife. And a lovely person. Okay. Still need to push the lights on the face more, but gives, oh, I'm going to get, yeah, I'm looking at it. Yes, there would definitely be some light hitting here on the hair. So I'm just going to mark it real quick just to sort of show the placement. So the light is going to pass through the color here and kind of hit in this area some, just a bit, you know. You see? So it'll hit on that thing just a touch, and a little bit of this fur, just a tiny bit as it passes past her shoulder. I might have put it a little too far, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be super perfect. What matters is that it reads correctly. I also said that when I first saw it. I think that's just because Melania, especially when she was younger, just has kind of generic supermodel facial features. High cheekbones, kind of, I don't know. Yep, definitely. All right. You can see her and I have the same nose, right? And you never will see beardless Eric. Deal with it. All right. I will be right back, and then we will do some more details. We'll get a little more detailed. Okay. I'm to put the glasses on. Let's work some smaller sections, huh? Can switch to a smaller brush now. Okay, let's So I really want the light on the cheek here to be quite bright. Where's that? Brutal burrito, thank you. We're going to have a nice highlight here on the upper bridge. And then some light that crosses this section here. Okay. Let's get the shadow here. Not too dark. We can redraw the light, that's fine. All right, so the big thing that I want to try and get is the corner of the mouth just right. You can see this side of the corner of the mouth has a bit of that lift to it. We're going to try and get that gentle smile in there. If we have to draw it. Okay, and we'll take some more of the pink. Start to create some of that color in the around the nose and the cheeks. So this line is going to start around the side of the nostril. On my own camera. Oh, I'm fine. And it's going to cut down and go around the corner of the mouth like so. So you can see how we create some of that bit of expression there, that little smirk, you know? She's being a little playful. All right, let's grab good color. To try and do some of the lips and stuff. This pink skin from Chimera from the Carlson set is good. To do, like, you can see it's quite fuchsia sort of colored. That'll work fine. We can start to apply some color to the lips. Okay. Now, there's a little thing there. Okay. I probably need an even brighter tone here, but let's just keep feathering some of this out. Really pushing the light. Whoa, I'm off camera, my bad. I don't know who Carly Simon is. Is she generically pretty also? Ah, that song. Still have no idea what she looks like, but I know what song you're talking about. Okay, what else? What else? What's the next big parts we need to address? Probably need some more light down on the jawline here. Face is looking a little too gaunt. So there's a muscle that comes up from the chin here. It's like this one. You know, the one you pinch. So we're going to kind of establish that a little bit as it sort of rises here. It's going to help with the smirk. So we're just going to kind of draw it, and then we'll blend it back in, right? And then getting this sort of triangle shape here. Which is going to help define that cheekbone a little more. Okay, you can see from the main view how that sort of line goes up. Hello. Hi, Wendy. Okay, we just continue to kind of soften these shapes in. And we can adjust colors as we go. If we need parts with more red. Well, thank you. She's just starting, but we've still got a ways to go. We can add some color there around the shadow. Okay, well now we're gonna take and add a little red orange around her nose. The light kind of passing through some of this skin here. And play with the slight dimpling on this corner of the mouth. Kind of raise that up just a little bit also. That might have been a little too much, but that's okay. We can always bring it back. We're making like really trying to make really small adjustments to the facial expressions, you know. And then bring that kind of line over that corner of the mouth. Who's that? Nope. Q. I'm just going to say Q. Hello. Thanks for following. All right. I'm going to add a bit of warmth to this transition. Then we're going to try to give her a bit of the smoky sort of eyes, you know. All right, that's okay for now. I think this needs to come down a little bit, but it's going to get re-highlighted with the blue, so her eyelid kind of creates some shadow here, or her her hair. All right, I need more light, some ivory. Which one was I using? I don't even remember. Whatever. Okay, so mixing some of that with some ivory, we're going to push the light even further. Oh, a new one this week, huh? Any spoilers? Get that subtle curve of the mouth there. Hello. Hi, Bodhi. A new version of an old character. Interesting. This needs to come down a little bit. So she's supposed to be looking like this. So this is a little too high at the moment. I need to bring the light down a touch. So it'll probably come down to like here. Then I'll blend it back in. Get that sort of tapered shape. Which was the one Kirill painted with all the crazy blue tattoos? I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of like any damn figure, so that's not surprising. Okay, this needs to come up a little bit higher. I'm going to kind of just draw this shape in, and then I'll blend it back in. So I'm really getting that, trying to get that smirk just right. All right, now let's have a little fun with this. So we're going to take some more of the blue and touch of white to it. Or, you know, ivory in this case. Create that reflection of the sky and sort of tear duct there. It might be too blue at the moment because just how easy it is to like overdo the blue, because the gray, like a neutral gray, is going to read really blue against orange. What up, Big Deno? Hello, Mr. Trent. How are you? Trent, are you excited about some Screaming God? I'm also quite excited for Screaming God. Okay, that, and then I want some more specular sky reflection here. Dude, it's so good. Before today, I've just been enjoying painting some Indomitable survivors and stuff. Okay, that's about right. I might have to add some more orange in between. So let's take in just thin glaze of orange to sort of the shadow transitions. Dodge, thanks for the tier 1. Appreciate it. So like so. It's going to make that feel a little more blue, but also return some color sort of to her skin here. Yeah, doing some display painting? That's good to hear. when you grow up. All right, bud. Let me know when you hit 7 feet. He ain't far from it. Him and Jared, dude, two Aussies making me feel short. It's like that doesn't happen very often. growing some giants down under. How do I feel about that? Random questions. Would you rather eat half a jar of pickles when sitting down to paint or have to eat 6 hot dogs after you... What? Half a jar. Dude, I could crush half a jar of pickles, no problem. 6 hot dogs, that's a lot. It's a whole pack of hot dogs. No, I guess hot dogs... No, the packs of hot dogs we buy are 6, so... Or are they 5? No, I can't remember. Yeah, that's fine. I only buy Nathan's. Not always twice a week. Probably need to like start painting her eyes, but let's work on the mouth a little bit. So this upper lip is going to catch just a bit of light. And the other one, not really. Trying to get that shape drawn right, but no, this is a size 3. I've gone down. All right, let's take some of this guy with some of the red to create a darker color. And let's try and fill out the lower lip here a little bit. It's a little wide, so I'm going to try and cut into it some. So I can actually like shrink, give her a slightly more pouty lower lip by sort of drawing, resculpt the lower lip here a little bit. See what I mean? Resculpt it, you know? By how we place the light on it, it changes the shape some. Then we need some pink. Now we're probably going to have to glaze back over that and then draw it again, but a little smaller. Okay, so that's not bad. Now I'm going to adjust the corner of the mouth a little. This shape is so important to get like just right. How you kind of draw that corner of the mouth. Can really like change the expression quite a bit. We see such, yeah, we recognize such like little micro expressions in the mouth and the eyes. So getting that shape perfect, you know, can do a lot. Yeah, it's I'm always impressed with like fine artists, portrait artists that can capture an expression like so perfectly with minimal brushwork, you know. Oh, I painted the character. Well, I've done a few, so I'm not gonna, let's see how good my audience is. And let's give her a little bit of that button nose shape. Just ever so slightly a shadow over the, not a shadow, but a little bit of mid-tone to there we go. All right. She needs this little shine there. A little shine on the cheek. Let's see if we can get the two, I guess, like, what would you call it? Lobes? I don't know. Lobes of the lower lip. So there's like that little tiny separation in the middle of the lower lip. Oh, she's so kissable. Oh, Chet. Not bad, not bad. Feeling okay with this. And then a little bit of highlight here. We can use some of that warm tone here on our lip. And then just a bit on her chin. Now, I feel pretty good about that. There's some parts that, you know, could still be blended better, but I think if we look at general sort of expression here, I think it gives a pretty good, that's pretty good for the light section. Do you plan your color schemes before you sit down, or more whatever strikes your fancy at the moment you sit down? I would say that I have like normally just a general like idea of the character that I want to portray, then like the color scheme, right? So it's like, yeah, I have this idea of who this character is in my mind, because I don't have, you know, I don't like particularly form a picture of the character. Like I don't see the model painted. I'm more, yeah, kind of describe the character in my mind, and that's what informs me of like how I want to paint them. And then the character develops from there. Yeah, it's like Emma Frost. My mind was basically like exactly, it was a cross between Emma Frost, Elsa, and Siri. Like that's like adult Siri. Like in the new trailer one. Right? So she's pretty, but strong and kind of dangerous, you know. That sort of femme fatale, if you will. My blue is still just ever so slightly off. I want it to be like a blue-gray. Yeah, let's see how this works. That feels okay. Let's see how it looks when it dries. Because the color can change quite a bit. Yeah, that's not bad. That's about the blue I'm looking for, right? If I want to go back and glaze some blue in later, I can. Okay, I think we need to paint her eyes. So the question is going to be, how white do we make them? I think this one on the side here, we can go pretty gray. This one on the far side. And this one, I think, even though it's also in shadow, I'll start it in shadow and then I'll sneak a little light on it just because I can. Because I can do what I want. Mainly just because I want her eyes to be a little piercing anyways. And I'm going to try and really I'm going to do this. Because like I said, she's got a little bit of a subtle squint to her. I want to make her eyes like slightly bigger than they're sculpted, which is tough to try, but it's like women painting eyeshadow, right? Or eyeliner, trying to make their eyes look bigger than they are. Okay, now we need some black to do the eyeliner, or we could do the actual eyes first. Let's take some of this guy. We want a cold blue. So I'll probably use some of this and these two. That's okay. Not quite right. Yeah, there's sculpted eyes on this one. All right. So we're trying to get that icy kind of look to the eyes here. And we're gonna, even if this eye wouldn't necessarily get a bunch of light, we're going to give it some anyways, because her eyes are like almost supposed to be like, I'm thinking like almost magic, like they're so ice white, right? That they're like piercing, glowing kind of icy eyes. Can do a little more on that one. Right? Something like that. So it's like they're super white, right? And then we got to grab a black. To draw her eyeliner and the cornea. Or no, the pupil. That's the word I'm looking for. Hello, Hawk. Let's take a little bit of the turquoisey blue here and try and draw the pupil first. So we've got, so that blue doesn't like, that light blue doesn't touch right against the pupil. It's like we're adding that little bit of shadow from the eyelid back to the eye. Right, makes them kind of glassy. We don't need much black. So you don't mind the eyes being like a little more glowing. So just a touch in there. Okay, now let's draw the eyeliner. And give her smoky dark eyes. I like the browns. Black is quite good too. It traces really well. Okay. And then this one, we're actually gonna, right? So I've done that line. I don't want to do too much black here in the corner because I want it to open up a little bit. And then I'm going to take and actually extend it onto the lower section like this. So I'm going to draw it out a little. And I'll make the lower eyelash like wider, right? Something like that. And then I'll fade that in. So I'm kind of exaggerating this lower eyelash shape to give her those, I don't know what you call this. I'm not a makeup expert here, guys, but you get the look, you know? You understand what I'm trying to achieve. There you go. Cat eye, I guess. And then we will take some of this guy, mixed with a little of the black, get a nice transparent layer. And then we're gonna, what would you call this? Make it like, make her eyeshadow kind of foggy, or smoky, yeah. I feel like I said that earlier and it just slipped past me. And we'll adjust this shape just a little bit. So right, you can see like this eye versus this eye with the eyeliner and stuff. How much like bigger it makes this eye look, I guess. Because women are all cheating. They're all a bunch of liars, making their eyes look bigger. Now, I also want to give her like dark eyebrows. even though she's going to have very light hair. And then I'm going to do this for fun. I'm going to take some of this color that we used before, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to draw a little shape here. Like her hair, like the light is passing through her hair. It's actually all just skin under here. Like you touch right there and it's just chin. So that could be like, I don't know, one couple hairs out of place or whatever. I need a little more orange, orangey red underneath the nose. This got a little too light. Anyways, I got to do the other eye also, but I think you guys starting to get the idea, huh? A lot of it's going to rely on how I handle the rest of the blue on other parts, and continue to shadow back into some of these areas. I like that little light right there. It's fun. What do you guys think? Huh? Does this make sense? Yeah, I like them both. I like I like half of Carlson's set, I'll say. Well, I don't dislike any of it, but ones that I would reach for regularly. Let's not make this too harsh. So we're gonna push the value on that just a touch, so it's like something in between. Grab some slightly more colored value and try and adjust that shape just a tiny bit to soften it. Then we need the white dot in her eye. Ta-da! I'll do it on the other one too, but I'll wait until after I do the eyeliner. Dr. Painting, hello. I'm sorry, I know some of these marks I'm making are so tiny you guys probably can barely even see them, but I'm adding just like a tiny bit of red to the corner of the eye. I'm actually going to adjust the shape of this eye here. Just to make them slightly less narrow and a little more round. Pull that in just a little bit. Yeah, okay. Oh. Not bad. I like how her face is going. Strike a pose. Here I'm intentionally getting rid of the blue there. It's not really, it's not really a cast shadow. I mean, it kind of is, but it's more like her hair blocking the reflection of the sky. How are you? Thanks for the tier 1. Appreciate you. You guys have any questions about anything we've covered or talked about so far? Yes, no, it all making sense and everything? I feel like this shape isn't quite right. This shadow comes down a little too much, so I'm gonna make an adjustment. I almost wanted to just like join into that blue reflection of her tear duct shape. This might soften her expression a tiny bit. What was the question? Hold on. How do you decide the intensity of the light source? Or in other words, how do you decide the shape of the, wait, how do I decide the shape of the highlights or the intent? So I feel like those are slightly two different questions. So the intent, like the one on the light side of her face is the sun. So it's going to be quite intense and pretty sharp, and depending on what material it reflects off of, it might be sharper than others. So like on her lips and her eye and her nose, which her lips are wet, her eyes are moist, and say so are her nose is slightly oily, her eyes and lips are slightly wet, right? So they're going to have sharper, more intense highlights. Right? It makes sense. I'm just curious then, since the blue specular light on her forehead is in the dark, if we go grayscale, it should be the same as the highlight value that is in the light. No, not even close. It shouldn't even be like as bright as as any of the lights. The sky is not a light source. It is, I mean, it sort of is. Like it helps create ambient light, but the sun is what's creating the light source. So the sun, the light side here, I'll turn it to black and white. Right? See? The blue still looks like it's in shadow. Okay, makes sense. It's just a subtle reflection of the environment. that is shifting the value a little bit. All right. I will be back. BRB. Yes, it is the highest value on the shadow side. Trying to think how I feel about it overall at the moment. There's some parts that aren't quite exactly, but I feel pretty good about the face so far. Obviously I need to paint the other eye, and there's some more work to do on the shadow side. So, but I feel like seeing some of the hair might help to get the effect across better. So let's work on that a little bit. So I want this sort of warm light. I can probably just use the, what's it called? The sunny skin tone here to create this like warm transition color in the hair. The light as it like passes through the hair or around the hair is going to create some reflections of that sunny warmth. Okay. Something like so. We'll create some more lines here. Just going to go over this a little bit to get like a layer underneath. So as I build up the light to like a white, you know. We get that very shiny golden look to her platinum hair. Her silvery kind of metallic-y sheen to it, you know. We get that contrast right. And then we'll push that light even more. I want this to feel like it's almost glowing as the light reflects off the sun reflects off her hair, right? Now, I'm going to take and grab some of this guy with a bit of the orange. And I'm actually going to paint a little bit of the underside of the hair, like here. So it looks like that light is passing through a bit of the hair, right? Where the hair is a little, where you have fewer strands and stuff, that light can shine through the hair, creating that warm effect. Subsurfacing. You see, going back with that sunny skin tone on top of the white shows up much more saturated and orange, so we get that really strong, like almost non-metallic effect to it as it hits and shines on there. And then as we come up here, this is going to have to be lighter to really sell this as a bit of cold, and then we'll start to add a little blue to simulate the sky reflecting in the hair on the cold side. Okay, so we just keep doing this sort of lines, creating the flow to the hair, kind of following the shape, and you can see it starts to lighten it up and feel more light blonde, I guess, as opposed to this more dark gray that the underlying layer is. But this is nowhere near as bright as that is over there. Yep. Something along those lines. We can trace a little longer lines here and there. They can like represent little hairs that are out of place, so we break up the rhythm a little of the hair shape. Working these grayish tones, just kind of bridge the gap between the light and the sky reflection. Thanks. Yeah, she will have some quite darker parts where the hair is more shadowed. We can even push into some blacks, like really deep back there, in order to help frame the face more. So like way back here, I want to get that basically black to simulate the shadows. Erase that. Actually, that's kind of fine because that lets me use that as a bit of an occlusion. Idea is just, no, it's not like through a window or anything. It's just her standing outside and the light is like coming over her shoulder, so her hair blocks the light from her forehead, so the light is like this, right? So the light's like that, and then from this side it's all so very kind of over the shoulder light source. There's a little problem with her eyebrow. Probably slightly too dark right here. So I'm going to try and fix that shape just a little bit. So it outlines her eyebrow just a little better. I don't really want the shadows on her skin to be that dark, or they're supposed to be. She's supposed to be quite pale, or that's what I'm picturing. Okay. Yeah. Just a little bit of pure ivory. Like that to really make the shine. All right, let's draw her other eyelid. Trying to match the shape of the other eye. I can always adjust this, but I'm trying to add some of that smoky effect again. May have overdone it slightly on this eye. So it's easy enough to come back with the skin tone. No, you just collect points forever, dude. That's what the channel points are for. Just stockpile them. Right, so we just make adjustments where we need. Thanks, useless wizard. Appreciate that. Round this over just a little bit. And then bring back some of the light to here. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Pull that over just a tiny bit. Get some of the color back on the side of the face. We need that reddish tone there in order to balance out the blue. Well, I'd tell you if it was bad. When I mess up, you'll know. Get a bit of the fold around the nostril. I literally just did. I just said I messed up the eye. I had to redo a part. You want a full on like this is shit moment. You haven't heard it, and you never will, because I don't paint shit. This is probably slightly too dark, but let's tone some of these parts back a little more. I'm going to push this into the back a little bit further before I make adjustments to the I got another little gunky bit on here. Get out of here. Let's take some of the whole red and some orange. So we can give a little saturation to the shadows. Just going to make these grayer tones look more blue. In context next to the more saturated reds. This eye is still not right. Beer King, hello. I think I also missed Shannon. So, hello, welcome. Just the shape of that just a little bit. I wanted to swoop down just a tiny bit more. Her eyebrow is slightly off. We must manicure her eyebrow a little. Okay. How am I feeling about that? I feel like it looking okay. I think I need a little more color in you guys can't see that. I was like circling it with the mouse like on screen because I'm checking it on screen to see like how it feels in photo, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is slightly off here. Yeah, can't you guys see me circling it with my mouse? I can add just a touch of red. We're gonna glaze some warmth onto the side here. A little bit more skin tone in this section. So it's going to move the blue a little bit. Okay, and let's adjust. Let's blend out the lights a little. Get her jaw correct, her jawline right. And then it looks okay like this, but at this angle, the cheekbone needs to be just like a little bit softer. So I have to blend this just a touch. And while I have the opportunity, while I'm doing that, I'll add a little bit of flush to her cheeks. Doot, 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 doot. Okay. Just tiny bit more red. That's, okay. Still not quite right. I'm being very picky. I'm being extremely particular about this part. I'm going to move it just a little bit higher. Yeah, of course they're painted on, dude. Come on, man. You know what kind of game we're playing here? This ain't no game. We're talking about practice, not a game. I'll take that as a compliment. There's something slightly off here. Right here. And this eyebrow's not perfect. Dude, John Stockton was a beast. Don't ever talk trash on the Utah Jazz. Nah, I don't think anybody in here paints anything horny enough to be the Alan Moore of miniature painting. All right. I think this is honestly like the hardest part of this is controlling. And you can see it because like your eye picks up on the contextual difference, but the subtlety of difference in some of these values is so small. So like I honestly think this like low contrast style of rendering volumes is more difficult than like high contrast painting. Okay. Let's check it in black and white, shall we? Looks right to me. She's so dark and mysterious. Values, guys, they're so important. I am going to put the white dot in this eye, even though it maybe technically shouldn't be there. It looks good. Okay. It gives life to the eye. Value, the saying is, value does all the work, color gets all the credit. I like that. That's a nice push that, whatever you call these, the tear duct volume. Push this just a tiny bit more also. And the one on her forehead. Just a little bit more. Like, oh my god, this is like, if you guys considered this like what the difference in value here, it is like a fraction of a half step in value. But it your eye picks it up. You know? And if you're curious, how she's got her head is not that big. Here she is next to what's his name that we painted a while ago. So she's pretty small. I mean, she's not Space Marine head small, which I've also painted on camera, but she's not a real big bust. So I'm trying to decide if I want to give just a tiny little. I think she might be smaller than 1/12. She feels like 14th or 1 something like that. 1/16 maybe. I don't know the exact size, but she feels it's pretty pretty small. Man, just the smallest little highlight here. The light just catching the corner of that hair. Walter, hello. How are you? How's everyone doing? We're painting a figure. I know, that's hard to, you guys couldn't tell that by looking at it, but Mikey, Vengeance, and Rymius, hello. How was your stream, by the way? I think it might just be better to use like a basically black here. I can correct the shape, but I gotta get this outline correct. What I mean is I can correct the hair afterwards, but I gotta get this line nice and sharp and shadowed in these areas down here so that the face feels nice and outlined. Then I can correct any parts of the hair I need to. Nice. Good luck and in the worthy. Yeah, see that black line can really help give some separation there. And then we can always bring back the hair. Well, welcome everyone. If you don't know, I'm Eric, by the way. I paint figures like this one, I guess. I've been known to paint a figure or two. Who does she look like? I wasn't going for anyone in particular, but I kind of imagined like Emma Frost or Siri while working on her. That's what I thought anyways. Thanks. Fix that tiny part there. Good. Good. All right. How do I feel about the her pretty lips? Pretty kissable lips. I think it needs just a tiny bit more shadow. Her expression, yeah, exactly. Nicole Kidman, whatever, you know. That's she has that look about her, you know. All right. Well, I think I'm going to stop there. It's been 3.5 hours. I painted her face and a bit of her hair. You all know how to paint pretty ladies now. That's it. You just have to paint them like that. Just do that. All right. How long do you anticipate before this goes up on YouTube? I don't know, within the next few days. You can always, after this is over, you can watch the replay on Twitch. Like my past mods should still be available.